that was silly, ridiculous, a waste of time. They didn't want. That's why they were so successful. That's why they got away.
Made a living in very dangerous.
This is really an integrated blue society.
Dianne Andrews is black and white.
Hello, this is Fuji Totes. I'm making a little video for you to see how the pillow works with the doggy in it. I have driven all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada, and taken Fuji and my other dog, my Multiple, with me with their meds, their leashes, their water cup, and whatever, in one pack, a couple of packs of food are in the bottom of this. Even with all that in the bottom, he can still lay here and feel nothing. You see him sitting down on it, he can still do that with all the things in there.
Donald Trump, he was only really had the ability to change the outcomes for minorities and everybody. Lowest unemployment ever under those 3.5 years, 3.5% for the nation, the lowest in 50 years. And for blacks, Latinos, women, lowest unemployment ever under Donald Trump the first 3.5 years. Correct?
Right. You know, you bring up a good point. I tweeted something out the other day that under President Trump, he used to say promises made, promises kept.
When we lost 20% of the utilities, energy, how did you supply? How did you make sure we didn't lose more? More of the cattle, more of the eggs, more of the everything.
We have custom-made units, and they are mobile pet evacuation trailers that we got from the federal government. Gave us these trailers. They came out of the food service.
We're letting 2 million people have come over here in a year across the border illegally. I don't understand. I don't think more people know. I don't think most people know how many are really coming, because the mainstream media, of course, CNN is getting their just due right now, right? With everybody's having to leave because of sexual problems or this problem or another problem.
We have a couple of lawsuits pending about this administration's immigration policy. If they are legally here or illegally here, but even if they are legally here, if they commit a crime and they're convicted of a crime of violence, then they are immediately deportable.
The UN just said, United Nations, worst border in the history of the world is our border. The American, it's borderless.
Yes.
We have no border. Who does that?
We have Republicans who are willing to bend. We watch 12 million people, more probably, that I've come across.
That's right.
They're not making that argument. They're attacking Donald Trump.
What do you think would have happened if they had had an active doctor instead of just Dr. Fauci on Operation Warp Speed, someone who really knew what was going on out there in the field?
When former President Trump contracted COVID-19, now remember, Trump was bold. President Trump received sequential multi-drug therapy, which is now the cornerstone of our protocols that we use, and the doctor featured in that was Dr. Conley.
We're going to hear why this man with a wife and 2 children who he had to leave behind because they threatened to kill him. He's going to tell us the true life of living in Cuba.
El momento que a mí me amenazan de muerte fue razón de mis opiniones en contra de una falsa reforma a la Constitución de Cuba.
When he was put in jail, it was because he was against his beliefs.
I didn't know what fracking really was until I was doing some of the shows with Eric Lane and Matt Coday.
I'm against the whole war against oil and gas.
Right.
I think that the market, when we move to something better than oil and gas,
right,
then we'll spend that money
sure
for whatever that is.
Welcome to Dianne Andrews in Black and White. Thanks for joining us in all the years that we've been putting shows together for you. Hopefully they made some impact in your life. That's what I've tried to do, to give you some information that you may not get in mainstream media and try to tell the truth. And it seems like a lot of what we've said over the years, or I've said over the years, even though a lot of people don't like what I've said, but it turned out to be correct, and that's not being arrogant, it's just a fact. We're going to talk about a lot of that today, what Donald Trump did in the 45th term and what he's doing already in the 47th term. And I have two of my favorite guests, two Republicans. As everybody knows, I'm a conservative, or two, whatever they'd like to call themselves, conservatives. And we're going to talk about the things. We have Senator Guillory with me. You've seen him. He ran for lieutenant governor. He ran for the U.S. House against Cleo Fields recently. And we have Claston Bernard, who is the director of Blexit. He made me his assistant director. I became the director when he went to go work at run for the U.S. House himself. So we've got distinguished guests here today who understand politics, but he's also a businessman. And my favorite thing, he's an Olympian. That says a lot about him. But I just found out he's a street fighter. So come on back and let's hear from my two favorite guests. Thanks for coming. Always good to see you. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. I think Louisiana has, well, Baton Rouge has a trifecta going on here, right? And we also have the Speaker of the House, Mason told me. So a lot of good things going on. Oh, our Coke host just jumped on his Fuji Totes pillow. That's the sorry, Kansas City fans. That's the Kansas City Chiefs pillow. We have the Southern pillow here with me today, and we have the Eagles pillow, the winner. But I was really for Kansas City. I didn't care if it was their third time. But I do want to give a shout out to Southern University. They showed up and they showed out, that band. At the Super Bowl, did y'all see the Super Bowl pre-show? Oh, you missed something. It was the best show I've ever seen. I don't know how the human jukebox, the drum major, takes his head back down to the ground. Oh, they showed out. They really did. The beautiful dancing dolls, they were excellent. And also to the nursing program. Southern University's nursing program just got named #1, not in the state, in the country, from nurses.org. So I used to hire a lot of nurses from there, and a lot of mixed race. It's not just black people that go to Southern Law and Southern Engineering and Southern nursing program. A lot of my white nurses went to Southern and Southeastern. They were always the two best. So I wanted to give you all a shout out for that. And let's get down to the facts, guys. What do we think about what our guy is doing today? Donald Trump, 45, did the First Step Act. Donald Trump, 45, did the Remain in Mexico. Donald Trump, 45, did the Veterans Affairs Act. Donald Trump, 45, less illegals coming across this border than ever in 70 years. Donald Trump, 45, 5 million people got off of Medicaid. And I can go on and on and on of the things. Right to Try. Donna Brett, anchor here. I interviewed her. She was going to do the Right to Try. She had ALS. All gone under the last man. Biden and Harris. Remain in Mexico, gone. And we have people being flown over here from Tren de Agua out of the prisons in Venezuela and coming on over the border. I believe it's probably more like 25, 30 million people who came here because they were going through the port of entry also. So let's talk about he's putting all this back plus more. Let's talk about it, guys.
I'm happy to see his moves in Social Security. Social Security started off with old folks who were working. They would pay into the Social Security system. They would get money when they retired. That system grew and morphed into a whole bunch of other things. People who had never worked a day in their lives getting money out of Social Security. But the biggest problem is that there are people, there's one person, 320 years old.
Right. Yeah, right. They're finding that. And people want to talk about Doge. The man is finding liars and fraud.
1,000 people between 109 and 130 years.
Right. I want to meet them. I want to meet these people.
Another 5,000 between 140 and 160 years old. That's incredible. It's a ripoff. It's a fraud. And I'm so happy to see somebody do it.
And I'm really happy he's going getting on the IRS where he just hired 80,000 more people. And the IRS can carry guns. You know, they can come in and enforce and take anything they want from you once they say you owe money, right?
Send them to the bar.
That he said that we have our military down there now for the first time. How could America supply military all over the world? South Korea, that's our military, and a lot Germany, that's our military. How can we do all of that and not have our own border protected? WHO said it was the worst border in the world, so I call it borderless. We had no border. It was insane. All these young, beautiful girls, Lauren Rod, killed, raped, savagely. Right, I'm sorry, Laken Riley. And it was Lauren somebody, that little girl in Houston, 12 years old, that two of them took her out of her bedroom and raped her and threw her in a river like she was trash. You were saying, and Doge, I mean, how can anybody, they say that the Democrats' argument, like, you know, Crockett, have you seen her, the young female from Texas? I was just reading last night. She's worth like $10 million. She just bought a $1.5 million home on the riverfront down in Austin, I think, and has another $2 million home. What is she, 35, if that old? And I don't care about people having money. Donald Trump had money, but he earned it. How do you get all of this when you just become a representative or a senator or a president?
The best one that I like is Eos.
Oh my God, yes. The bartender.
And I used to be a bartender.
You're in law school.
She's making $107,000 a year. And in 5 years, she's accumulated $30 million. $30 billion. If that is not the perfect example of corruption.
That's right. If people can't see, the lobbyists are paying them to push certain bills. That's all that's going on, or certain agendas.
I'll say this. I think Harry Truman said it. If you're in politics and you get rich, you're a crook.
That's right.
And that's the bottom line.
Look at Obama's houses. I'm going to have them put them on the screen when we show this. I mean, the one on Martha's Vineyard, even though the climate is changing and the waters in the ocean are getting higher and higher, he can walk to the Atlantic Ocean from Martha's Vineyard. Have you seen that house? It is one of the most famous, beautifully famous houses in the world. He paid cash.
And he was worth only when he came.
$1 million. $1 million when he came to office.
And he left presidency.
Yeah, and you know, now they're producers. Did you see that junk that they made on Netflix? They gave them big contracts. This is all payoffs. Like Ukraine war, saying, Zelensky, I don't know what $75 billion is. We've given them over $200 billion. They don't know where it is. Look at California. They don't know where the money is for the homeless. They know billions of dollars. This is insane. People are stealing.
The high-speed rail.
Yeah, that'll never happen. So, it's going to be 2 blocks, high speed for 2 blocks.
For me, in 2016 was revealing because what I saw from the Democrats, and I go back to college, Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington. Now, the civil rights movement, because actually it was a course dedicated to civil rights movement history. And some of the things didn't make sense to me, just did not make sense. And what I started realizing was Democrat. Every time there was a party switch, but it didn't make sense either when I looked at the numbers. And the ugly part is you can talk about, Opelousas massacre. You can talk about the Colfax massacre, and all of the Silver Dawn and all this kind of stuff. But what was happening with the Democrat Party is a party of violence. And what they were able to do was to use violence against blacks until blacks started voting Democrats. So the lynching stopped. People need to pay attention to that. The civil rights movement was hijacked by Marxists. Blacks gave...
Who started the NAACP?
That was 1907. Mm-hmm. So the civil rights movement was a movement, when I started really looking at it, was like blacks gave up economic, educational, and political independence during the civil rights movement. Makes no sense. This is supposed to make you free. How comes you are in worse conditions than you were going into the civil rights movement? Just stop, think for a minute. Where are the black businesses that were there before? Mm-hmm. Black bus companies. Why were you boycotting bus companies when you had your own bus companies? Why black-owned businesses? All these black educators got laid off. And one of the movement that was going through was the Marxist movement, and the NAACP got even more corrosive in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, especially through Howard, that Kamala Harris came through. And you can start to see all of the pieces of the puzzle coming together today.
and you would wonder what happened. And Obama signaled in his presidency, that's where we're going. And the country reacted.
Well, he was the first one to do the us taxpayers, you may not know this, paying for transgender surgeries on death row and in prison. That makes no sense. And she did it in California as Attorney General Kamala Harris. Montreal is where she's from. She spent 10 years from 8 to 19 in Montreal, California, which is nothing but a socialist country.
It is.
And her mother was socialist and her father is still living, and he's a communist. He's a Marxist. He's a proclaimed economic professor, Marxist. And he doesn't even speak to her.
Well, I think when I was on here the last time, I said Jamaican politics got destroyed he was an advisor by.
Yeah, because he's from Jamaica, yeah.
And, so Jamaica was on the trajectory to be doing as well as America GDP per capita or Singapore. But what happened? They embraced the policies Kamala Harris was actually trying to bring to America in her campaign. And
she couldn't even explain them because somebody told her what to say, and she doesn't even really know what those communist party policies are. Earned tax credits,
yes,
unearned income credits, taxes.
So what you see happen was the country said, we don't want what Obama had
when he was selling,
and Trump came in and started making progress. But Obama put traps along the way, and those people need to be ferreted out, and they need to be tried. Some need to be tried for treason, and punishment needs to be meted out. The courts were weaponized,
right?
The justice system.
Well, Eric Adams is saying they were weaponized against him also, and Trump agrees because he pardoned him on what Biden had done, because he said New York cannot sustain like this. We are destroying my city. That's all he had to say. Biden said, "You're my enemy. You're getting ready to go." Right? Remember, they sent all the FBI, people over there, and they came out with this room full of boxes. It's saying that he did something with Turkey, like everybody else does, right? And they were going to lock him up.
A black man going against the Democratic Party get destroyed.
Oh, and he was a Republican before. He was a Republican before.
Get destroyed. It doesn't mean the Republican Party don't have viciousness and
right. Right.
Global.
What's his name? Mitch McConnell. The good he gone.
They use the law. Democrats will use whatever they need to destroy. And that's what Justice Clarence Thomas was signaling during his confirmation when Joe Biden tried to take him out. Who is laughing now? Laughing. Justice Thomas is still a Supreme Court justice, one of the best this country has ever seen, best of right. Where's this old decrepit guy who tried to destroy his life? Now he should
right.
get it anyway.
What you mentioned that? What do you think about the woman, the white lady that Donald Trump appointed? Not Kavanaugh, but that woman. What's her name? That he appointed 3. Yeah, I'm not with her. She doesn't hardly vote on anything with him.
She's trying to ride 2 horses. You can't do that.
Trying to do what?
Ride 2 horses at the same time. You can't ride 2 horses.
Yeah, and Kavanaugh and the justice leader, what's his name? John Roberts. They live in the same neighborhood, go to the same country club, play tennis together. So whoever vetted these people for him did, just like Christopher Wray, right? That was vetted by, what's that old fat ex-governor name? Christie from New Jersey told him to get Christopher Wray, who was a complete snob who messed up the FBI royally doing everything they wanted him to do, right? Weaponizing it against Trump, who put him in. Thank goodness he resigned because Trump was going to fire him anyway.
It has been interesting to watch.
And it's not over yet. What they're going to try to do to Elon Musk, what can you do to him? Please. He's the richest man in the world. They talk about how can he go through our records. We have consultants all the time to go through records, right? All over.
He created paper. He created
almost everything.
Access to your information. It's like somebody took your money and put your money in the bank, and the bank actually, the bank managers stole your money and hit their cronies. And Elon Musk comes along and says, hey, this is where your money went. And they're mad at the guy for showing you that the bank manager is a crook.
Well, you know what they're mad? In fact, one of them said it. Maxine Waters, my God. She said, he's going through all the information. Who knows what he might find? I said, if that's not a guilty, he's going to find out what you did. That's what this problem is. And USAID, I never thought Soros and Act Blue and all of those Democratic organizations and Democratic people were getting money. My girlfriends who are Democrats, they never pay anything. They never hardly ask them for money. They don't need to because they're stealing it from our money. That's right. They get some off the top. Oh, that's right. USAID comes back into America, part of it. Ukraine war. Zelensky doesn't know where some of the money went, like I said earlier. It's insane. Billion, $70 billion. But you know, we usually have someone who controls that money. You know, Biden didn't do it. Mitch Landry, Landrieu is supposed to be the one checking on the money for the war. We know how far that went, straight to their pockets.
Hey, you know, the disturbing thing, and America has a foundation that wouldn't have been possible without Christianity. I don't know way. And the thing I see even from some of the conservative and the so-called conservative is to try to attack Christians now, because Christians, you don't lose your Christianity because you join a political party. If someone is doing something, if I'm doing something wrong, my brothers in Christ are supposed to correct me, whether I like it or not, supposed to correct. But they want Republicans to just go along with everything. But there's a moral arc.
Because Democrats do that. They all vote in sync, especially with Nancy Pelosi. Nobody was going out of the realm of what she said, believe it or not.
And what disturbed me about USA was the fact that they try to promote Sodom and Gomorrah around the world. They actually threatened, I know Biden administration threatened the country of Jamaica and some African countries, Bahamas, different countries to accept and promote homosexuality.
They wanted a lot of the money was going to transgender education in foreign countries. A lot in Africa.
And Africa was saying, we don't want to hear, oh, Kamala Harris, get out of here with that. Kenyatta had told Obama, don't bring that here. They have no respect for human autonomy. They have no respect for God's image and who we are. God created us how we are. And when you're having mental illness, you need help.
Right.
You need spiritual guidance. You need spiritual help. You don't need.
But they're trying to convert children who are not even having a problem. They just want to convert them to tell them, don't you want to be a boy or don't you want to be a girl? They're 4, they're 5, they're 6. They do it in California, and the parents don't even have to sign off for it. It's insane. The little girl or boy changes clothes in the bathroom to be a different sex. So they're training them with these parties they have with the gay people coming in, you know, then just dressed like clowns and all this kind of stuff. So the kids think it's fun.
I don't remember Stalin or Hitler said it, give me a children.
That's right.
And once they get the children, in fact.
And Obama started doing it.
Indoctrinate those kids at early age, whatever you teach them. And I saw someone recently talked about it. You teach a kid, 1 + 1, that's logically great. But then you slide in the other stuff. And they also associate that with what this authority is supposed to be given it.
Right.
And this is how you destroy and destructure a country.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were doing a very good job at it. But Trump is sent by God. He knows that. In my earlier show, Sid Edwards also says he's ordained by God. And I believe that too. You know, he's already putting satellite offices in North Baton Rouge and South Baton Rouge to bring underserved communities into the actions in the government. He's going to be a great mayor. I like him. I like him a lot.
Just a minute, Catholic charities. U.S. more than $100 billion. $100 million going to Catholic charities.
Right.
Catholic Charities has been involved in this immigration business for a long time. In the 70s, when I was working in the state of Maryland, Catholic Charities convinced a tuna fish packager on the eastern shore of Maryland to fire 203 Black people who had been working for them since slavery. I mean, their ancestors had been working. They fired all of them so that the Catholic Church could bring in Vietnamese. I just happened to be the head of the Maryland Commission on Human Relations. We raised holy hell.
Now, who was this order coming down from? It was just about cheaper labor or what?
That came from the Bishop of Baltimore, Bishop of Baltimore, who convinced this company to
do that. Yeah.
And bring in
Vietnamese. Was it for lower salaries? They were paying them less? What was the reason? What was the reason? They were paid off?
Filling the Catholic churches with their...
Exactly. It's Paul. But here's the thing. The reason why we have America is because of the Reformation movement. If it was for Catholicism, we wouldn't have. And here's a fundamental people need to understand. Someone said to me recently, because I pointed this out, the Catholic Church still believes the state should control the government. The Reformation movement that America springs from doesn't believe that. They believe that Christians should be involved in the government, but the government is ordained by God. And we as Christians are supposed to participate and pray for our government, but we're not supposed to. The government has a role to preserve order, punish bad behaviors and criminal, And the church has a different role. But the church needs to pray that we have godly leaders to be able to function. So what has happened with the Catholic Church? This is why Canada refused to become a state. There were Catholic Canada and versus Protestant America. BC was written in 1792 or something like that. That there was an option for Canada to become a state, and that was one of the overarching things. And people need to understand what Catholicism is trying to do. It's not an attack on Catholic, but the Pope has been very.
Well, doesn't this Pope believe in transgender, and doesn't he also believe in abortions and yes, and open borders? So I mean, this is just a communist guy. All his ideas are about communism, which doesn't believe in God. So does he believe in God?
Well, they believe the state Vatican should be running the world. So their nation state in the Vatican is.
But still, his core values are for homosexuality, for killing babies, for opening borders, for socialism. So even if the Vatican ran it, they're supposed to believe in God. They don't believe in God. Everything I've said is a godless society.
And when I started my battle against Catholic charities, I was a practicing Catholic at that moment.
But you're a minister now. What religion are you now, Senator? What religion are you now? Baptist preacher. I knew you were a minister. I didn't know which one was. Yeah, but see, I don't understand how people can listen to this Pope, because he is talking about ungodly things that he believes in. And they paid him off. You know that Biden gave him all kind of money. And then what's her name? Pelosi goes over there and gets communion with him and all this after they give him money when he says everything they tell him to say. They're paid off. I don't believe they believe in God themselves. Claston.
Think about this. England, even though people know England is the Anglican church, the structure is pretty much the Catholic Church. England never really, even the Reformation movement was America. America was what came from Martin Luther and also John Calvin. That's a movement that's sprung up because that's where the Republican system or the democracy that we talk about that is supposed to work with the Republic comes from. From that. And then you can go in the book of the book of Exodus, and you can see the structure, the three structures of government working out itself. So what you find is that England is the way that it is, and you're seeing it happening. And you look at the Vatican, you look at the Catholic, look at some of the places that Catholicism has been strong, and look at what they are promoting. Everything, homosexuality, abortion.
I believe they're communists myself. I don't care what religion they are. I believe those things are communist ideas to control people, right? If you're gay, if you're transsexual and all of that, your homosexuality, you're usually easier to control, I think. And that's what a lot of it is about.
You know, for 1,000 years, the world was in the Dark Ages. And it was run by the Catholic Church. The government was by the Catholic Church. This is uncomfortable truth, but it was run by the Catholic Church.
So it's always a pleasure talking to you. We probably would have talked about 2 hours, but we need to do some other things. So thanks for coming on the show, and good to see you this year. And I think America's in for a great, great future with what we have going on today. God bless America. See you next week.